Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna show you guys some good tips and tricks in the editor that can be useful for any future level that you'll be creating. While you most likely already know about some of the tricks in this video, I can almost guarantee you that you'll learn something new about the editor. Now, without further ado, here are 4 tips and tricks for the GD editor. Firstly, I want to talk about blending. Blending is an option that can check for each individual color. You've most likely heard about it before and most likely used it before. Now, before I show some good designs that you can do with blending, I need to explain how it works. Every color in GD has 3 values, R, G and B, which stand for red, green and blue respectively. These values go all the way from 0 to 255. The higher the value is, the more of that color there is. So for example, if we would have 255R and 0 of all the other values, you would get a completely red color. And if you had 255 for each value, you would have white. Now, what does this have to do with blending? Blending works by adding the values of the colors together. So for example, if you would overlap a completely red block and a completely blue block, then they would become pink in the overlapped section. This also means that a black color using blending would disappear. Now that you know the basics of how blending works, let me tell you some places where you can use this. First off, atmospheric glow. Here's what a level looks like without atmospheric glow. And here's the same level but with atmospheric glow. There's several ways of making atmospheric glow, but I'll just teach you the way that I personally do it most. First off, you'll want a blending color. For this video I'll pick the main color of this level. You'll also want to make the opacity lower. I usually go with 50, but you can go lower if you want. Then you'll want to put the color on a big piece of glow. If you have Mega Hack you can scale up to 5, otherwise just scale it up to 2. Now you want to spam this piece of glow everywhere that you want atmospheric glow. I usually put most of the glow behind the ground spikes, as you can see here. I'll also put a bit of glow behind other parts of the level to make it feel less empty. Now the atmospheric glow is finished. Now I want to show you one last thing that blending can be used for, and that's color banding. It's hard to explain, so I'll just tell you how to make it work. First, you want a color with blending and a really low opacity. Now you'll want to put this color on any object that has a gradient in it, like for example glow or clouds. Now to get the actual effect, you need to copy paste the object a lot of times. I'll go with 15. The object now has a really cool gradient effect that can easily be adjusted. Now let's talk a bit about colors. Colors are a really big part of any level out there. If you don't have good colors, you won't have a good level. But how exactly do you know if you have good colors? And how to make them? Well, it's actually quite simple. When making a level or part, you should always think of one or a few main colors. If you don't know what color to use, I would recommend listening to the song that you're using and think of what color the song feels like. Or just go to the YouTube video of the song or something and see what color that uses. Now that you have your main color, you shouldn't really use any other different colors that much. Of course it really depends on the level, but that is what I'd recommend. Although you can't just use one color, you have to use more to make it feel alive. You can do that by adding on a contrasting color in it, which you can do by taking your main color and then putting plus 180 hue on it. Another way of making your level more alive is by using small hue changes. Using the same color all the time can be a bit boring, especially for more detailed designs like glow style. Then I would recommend using colors that are really close to the main color, like plus 25 or minus 25 hue, to add a bit of color. This will make sure the colors don't clash in bad ways. There isn't much more to talk about surrounding colors, although I just wanted to say that using several main colors can work really well, like for example rainbow, blue and red, if done correctly, or something else along those lines. The next point is going to be about Keybinds and Mega Hack. Well, I put them in the same point because these ones are only available to PC users as far as I know. That means that if you use a phone, this point is quite useless to you and you can go ahead and skip to the next one. But for the PC users, here's some tips and tricks regarding keybinds and megahack. Firstly, I want to talk about keybinds and how important they can be for building. If you don't know how to access the keybinds, all you need to do is pause in the editor, click the keys button in the top right corner, and there you go. Learning the keybinds will greatly increase the speed at which you create and make the editor much easier to use. Now I'll go through some of the most important keybinds in the editor. First off, we have WASD. They're used for moving blocks around. Another really similar keybind is WASD, but while holding down Shift. This will make the block move at much smaller increments. The next keybinds are Q and E, which will rotate the block counterclockwise and clockwise respectively. Now if you do the same thing, but while holding down Alt, you'll flip the object horizontally or vertically. Next is Ctrl plus D, which will copy paste the selected object. I would say that the keybinds I just showed are some of the more important ones, although there are some other really good ones as well, that I'll go over much faster. Enter for playtesting, 1 for build menu, 2 for edit menu, 3 for delete menu, Alt plus enter for playtesting music, R for rotate, T for swipe, G for snap, F for free move, escape for pausing, delete for deleting, holding shift for quick swipe, and holding control for quick free move. Learning all of these keybinds can take a while. Personally, I don't even use all of these keybinds, but learning them can still really speed up your creating process in the long run, so I would still strongly recommend it. Now before going on to megahack, I need to show a really important combination of keybinds that can hasten up your creating process vastly, especially with stuff like atmospheric glow. What you want to do is hold down left click on a selected object that you wish to copy paste on a bunch of spots. You'll also need to have free move on for this. Then you'll hold down Ctrl while still dragging around the object, and then just click D to put down the object on the places that you want it on. Now moving on from keybinds, I need to talk about megahack. Of course, if you didn't know, megahack costs money. Personally, I would 100% recommend megahack. It's helped me a lot and will most likely help you as well. But of course, getting megahack is completely up to you. With that out of the way, I will now go over all of the hacks that I personally turn on for creation purposes and what they do. First off, we have slider limit. This hack allows you to drag sliders beyond their endgame cap. This means that you can, for example, scale up objects to 5 times or even higher. Next up, we have a bunch of bypasses which make you be able to go above a certain number or something similar. They're Color ID bypass, Custom Object bypass, Group ID bypass, Object bypass, Scale Snap bypass, Toolbox button bypass, and C order bypass. I won't be going into detail on what each one does, as most of them should be quite self-explanatory, but if you want to know more on each one of them, you can just hover over the options in megahack and it'll give you a small explanation. Apart from those, there are a few other good ones as well. Anti-kick, which removes the bug where you get kicked if there are too many objects in a small area. Smooth editor trail, which makes the trail when playtesting much more accurate. And speed hack, which can help you a lot when syncing up your layouts. Of course there are more hacks that can help you with your building, but these are the most important ones in my opinion. So feel free to take a look at the other hacks as well and see if there are any that you might like. Lastly, I just want to mention inspiration real quick. This point isn't gonna be as long as the other points because there isn't much to say, but still I think it's important to mention. Getting inspiration for levels can be really hard and it's a problem that I personally suffer from as well. So because of that, I'm gonna go over some methods that might give you some inspiration for your levels. First off, watching other levels can really help. Taking a look at levels that are quite similar to what you want to do can really help you out and give some great ideas. As well as that, you can watch videos or listen to songs and try and get some inspiration from them as well. Of course, getting inspiration can also depend on what style you're building. For example, if you're making an art style level, maybe just looking at similar art to what you're building can be good. And if you're doing glow style, mainly looking at other similar levels will most likely help. It really depends on the style. Well, that's the entire video for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Also, if you guys want to see more of this type of content, please tell me. And of course, if there's anything in particular regarding the editor that you want to know or see, be sure to tell me. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.